Did the obsession affect your sex life? What changed after your diagnosis? How did you get to the point of having a new girlfriend? In the new episode of Can't Ask, we are with Khan. Khan is a sexual obsessive compulsive disorder patient. Welcome, Khan.
Thank you. How are you?
Fine, how are you?
Thank you very much.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Of course, I am one of the patients with obsessive compulsive disorder who has a disturbance against sexual objects. There are various types of obsessive compulsive disorder, like cleanliness, symmetry. Sexual is one of them. I am a person with sexual obsession. It is a disease that I received treatment for about 5 years. I had the disease for 7 years, but I realized it only in the second year. Afterwards, I can say that I started the treatment and the necessary research.
What does obsessive mean?
It's commonly referred to as obsession disorder by the general public. The medical field explains it as having repetitive thoughts. In other words, your brain produces repetitive thoughts about the object you are obsessed with, whether it is symmetry, cleanliness, sexuality, or other types, and prevents you from thinking normally. And this has an extraordinary effect on your daily life. I can summarize it like this.
Why does a person become obsessive?
I think that obsessives are divided into two groups, those who have had a case in their past and those who have not, and psychologists generally interpret it in this way. Obsessions such as cleanliness and symmetry may not be related to a past incident or may be congenital. However, since mine is a sexual obsession, it is defined as the repetitive thoughts of a person who has experienced an incident in the past and who thinks about that incident throughout their life.
What did you experience?
I had an incident with my first girlfriend. There was a distance between me and her. She was raped by my closest friends, and I found out about it through a video I received on my birthday.
How did you feel when you found out?
I was in military school when I found out. I had just finished training and we were living in different cities. The person who sent me the video was my best friend, and he told me that he was blackmailing her. When I first found out, of course I didn't want to believe it. Since it was my birthday, I thought it might be a joke, maybe a harsh one. When I watched the video, I realized it was no different from watching an erotic video. I immediately went to my commanders, people I respected, who respected and cared about me, and explained the situation, asking them to place me under protection, because I immediately thought of suicide. Then they comforted me, calmed me down. Since my family and my girlfriend were in the same city, I shared the details of the incident with them. I didn't get much support. I reached my girlfriend somehow. For the first few days, she did not respond to me in any way. Then when I reached her, she confirmed the incident and told me that the video was absolutely real, that she was blackmailed, that the blackmail started with a picture she accidentally sent them, and that the incident was completely real, and she hung up on me. After that, I couldn't call her for a while, because I couldn't get myself together. I couldn't attend trainings. I couldn't attend classes. I was constantly under supervision because my commanders were aware of the situation and they didn't even leave a knife around me. After I reached out to my girlfriend and confirmed the incident with her, I reached out to the people I referred to as my close friends. Of course, I am talking very calmly now, but I think you can think and imagine that moment. When I talked to them, they said that they were tempted by the devil, so to speak. They defended themselves by making very immoral remarks, like she was asking for it. My girlfriend's parents were separated, and because her father was a policeman, she could not open up to him in any way. She opened up to me. I tried to get her back on her feet, but I failed. Our relationship ended, and she left me with a lifelong OCD obsession.
What kind of obsession did this event lead to?
This incident led to the following obsession. Before this, I was a normal, ordinary person with no obsession. Normally, people say stuff like, there is a possibility of dying even while walking on the road. Don't be so obsessed. So they tell you about a 1 in a million chance, and they tell you to think about the remaining possibility. With this incident, I experienced that 1 in a million possibility in sexuality. I saw that I could experience. This incident was imprinted in my mind, and from that point on, my life became a living hell because I started interpreting everything, especially when it came to my loved ones, through the lens of that possibility.
Do you think all your loved ones could possibly be raped?
I can say yes. Why can I say yes? I found myself overthinking even about my mother, my aunts, my cousins, my friends, my female colleagues, even a woman sitting across from me on the subway, someone I'd consider like a sister, all the way until she gets off at her stop. There were many times when I saw someone looking at her the wrong way, and I imagined she was my own sister, to the point that I got off the subway before my stop just to follow the person.
Did the obsession affect your sex life?
It did. How did it affect it? I have never had sex after that incident because I grew so cold towards sex. Because of various emotions and thoughts, sex stopped being a priority for me in my relationship. While this is typically a priority for most people, it no longer is for me, and to be honest, it has fundamentally shifted what I look for in a relationship.
How did you realize you were obsessed?
Once the incident happened, I began receiving the support I needed. I was a very successful student at my school. We were in the process of transitioning to the cadet school, and we were studying very hard. When I started to receive support from professionals, they explained my situation to me. That's how it is. They said I might notice its effects throughout the rest of my life. 2 years later, when I started going out with my new girlfriend, when I thought about the possibility that security might look at her while she was going to the shopping mall, I started to realize that I was going crazy. And when I went straight to a psychologist, he explained it to me.
How did you accept that you were sick?
When I realized the situation, when I realized that I started to think differently from a normal person, I went straight to the psychologist. The psychologist immediately understood the situation, even though I didn't tell a detailed story like I told you. He told me that I have OCD, specifically related to sexual obsessions, and that I'm currently experiencing it quite intensely. But I didn't get much support from psychologists and psychiatrists because it wasn't something that could be solved by digging deeper. Because this event took place and has been deeply imprinted in my memory just as it happened, so I can experience that 1 in a million chance in the near future. And when they tell me that it won't happen again, I remember the thing that happened.
Is there a treatment for this?
Psychiatrists prescribe various medications, but as many people know, these drugs mostly serve to make you sleepy, essentially dull your senses, or leave you empty-headed. I have never seen any benefit from this in any way. A few of the psychologists tried to get to the bottom of it. Some of them did, but at the end of the day, there was no solution. Because as I mentioned, that 1 in a million possibility happened to me. If they came to me today and said, "We completely fooled you, ruined your life, and then here's the full proof," and if I learned that it never really happened, maybe it would help. But I highly doubt that it would truly change how I feel.
What changed after the diagnosis?
Nothing changed. I just realized that I was obsessive. I did the research myself afterwards. I met with many psychiatrists, many psychologists. So there was no cure in any way. The medications were only effective during the worst periods, when it felt like a full-blown crisis. When I had thoughts like locking the person I loved in a house to protect them, I would take the medication to calm myself down. Because, so to speak, there was nothing there, no real reason, no trigger. But it was like I was defending a castle. My soul was like that. The repetitive thoughts in my brain were like that. I had to control them with medication. But after the medication wore off, when the person I was fixated on entered my thoughts again, it would automatically start again.
Do you trust people?
Do I trust people? Well, I definitely trust women. I trust them in general. I definitely do not trust men, including my father, because of this disorder.
Do you trust yourself?
I trust myself in this respect. Because I went through something like this, I could never make someone else go through it because I already have this disease. But in other aspects, I can say that I am in the middle. I can't say that I trust or don't trust, but I absolutely and definitely trust myself about this issue, so it can be thought like this. This is true for all the women I love around me. It can be the office manager at my workplace. It could be my own mother. To them, I am like a guardian, accountable for even the slightest thing that might happen to them. That's how it is in my mind right now.
Do you tell people you meet about your obsession?
I definitely don't. I hesitate. I am a little bit afraid that people might call me a guard of honor, so to speak. Apart from the psychologists I share this with, there is only my father and the person I love. The person in my life. You know the rest now.
How did your girlfriend take it?
She found out about this after we started our relationship. She realized that it was a heavy trauma. She worked harder than me to help me recover. She is the biggest reason why I went to psychologists and psychiatrists. However, after some time, when she became the target and I needed to protect her from men, I began to torment her life. Because the most important people in my life were her and my mother. Because I was taking too much care of her, when life started becoming unbearable for her because of me, she began to pull herself out of it, so to speak.
Did you think about going to a healer?
With the pressure of my family, yes, I thought about going and I did. I consulted with 2 practitioners commonly referred to as witch doctors, which are traditional spiritual healers. However, since this issue was beyond their scope, in other words, it wasn't a matter of spiritual healing, I usually left shortly after a brief conversation. Because this is an event that happened in the past with real people. There is no other dimension. That's why the healers also recommended a lot of prayer.
How did you get to the point of getting a new girlfriend?
I transferred to a civilian university with the guidance of my family. After I transferred to a civilian university, I felt a sense of emptiness. Because at that moment, the only target woman in my life was my mother. And I trusted my father very deeply in that regard. I didn't have any problems for a long time. I never got a girlfriend because I knew very well that no matter how much I loved her, I would make her life miserable. I never asked a girl to go out with me. The person who came into my life was my friend from the neighborhood when I was little. She also knew my previous girlfriend. Before our relationship began, she noticed I had some mild issues. But I learned that she loved me since I was little. And as we talked more and our conversations deepened, our relationship began. If it wasn't for that person from the neighborhood, would someone have entered my life? I would definitely want someone to come into my life, but I would never allow it.
Do you have a hard time hiding your illness?
I don't tell people about my illness in any way. I don't feel the need to hide it either. Because I can't even share the repetitive thoughts that keep coming to my mind with the woman I'm fixated on. For example, if I share it with my mother, I would probably get slapped. There would be such a result. That's why it mostly happens inside. This has already made me extremely lonely. It pushed me to self-reflect and work on self-control. Maybe that's for the better. Had someone been with me, I might not have managed to control it since I was isolated and battling it on my own. Right now, I'm able to control it a bit better than I could at the beginning. I have a little more control over the recurring thoughts in my brain. The same thing continues. But I can say that I've been able to suppress the signals and thoughts in my brain.
How did you suppress the thoughts?
I made myself experience the events that could happen. Let's give an example. Could security be harassing my girlfriend when she enters the mall? Could she be being watched inappropriately from behind? Can her number be recorded anywhere in the mall if her information is in a database? Can he get that number? Can he write to her on WhatsApp in any way after getting her number? This is a very simple example of a scenario that comes to my mind right now. This is how I handled this scenario. I came up with this. I got up and went to the mall with my girlfriend, with her permission, of course. I followed her and watched the security guard's movements. He didn't turn around and look. That scenario was over and I was relieved.
What if he looked?
So, if he turns and looks, I follow the second step. I would check if they can find my girlfriend's number or any way to contact her. If there is not, it stops there. If there is, it becomes a very different story for me.
Have you ever hurt someone else because of this?
We had an incident like this, as far as I recall, back when my girlfriend was starting her senior year of high school and we were dating. Her bus driver called her something affectionate like, "my dear." It's a very common term of endearment if you think about it. For a normal person, it is an extremely unimportant thing. However, because of my state of mind and recurring thoughts back then, when the bus driver called my girlfriend my dear among so many other girls, I went to his house to ask why he said that. It resulted in a short fight and we got involved with the police. One day I was sitting in a cafe with my girlfriend. There was a group of ladies sitting on the opposite side. It was lunchtime, if I am not mistaken. I saw a man across the street constantly checking out one of the women. At that moment, I thought of two things. Is that woman valuable to me or not? All women are valuable and important to me. All people are valuable and important to me. My brain automatically focused on that man's behavior. He kept checking her out. And after the women got up, that man verbally harassed them. At that moment, it was very difficult for me to control myself. Someone has to hold me. I approached the man and slammed his hand on the table, breaking it. After this incident, the police came and we went to the police station. My family came and explained the situation. They stated that I had such a disorder. The officer at the station thought the man wasn't completely innocent either and helped us reach a settlement. And the case was resolved through reconciliation.
Are you ashamed of these recurring thoughts?
Of course I am ashamed. To be honest, erotic videos are a part of modern life. No one can deny it. I don't care who watches those videos or who don't. When you watch an erotic video, the scenes are embedded in your brain and it makes your life miserable. When you watch it, you might interpret the video in a good or bad light. But after that, since those images are stored in your mind, if someone you fixate on shows up in your daily life and those images merge with them, that's when everything falls apart.
How do you deal with it?
I definitely stay away from those kinds of videos in the first place. I definitely stay away from such TV series, movies, news, and media sites where there is violence against women, rape, harassment, etc. They can affect me very deeply. Even in the simplest situation, if I read a story about a woman and she happens to be someone I know, I completely lose control in that moment. Because as I said, that 1 in a million chance happened to that woman and I have to intervene now. These are the thoughts that come to me.
How do you stay away when there is so much news like this?
I don't go on websites. More precisely, I don't go to media sites. I don't watch television. I don't watch movies. I definitely don't watch TV series. I don't go to the movies. I rarely go to the theater. This is how I try to manage staying away from cafes with loud arguments or any places where trouble might arise. I try to stay away from such places and isolate myself.
How do you deal with harassments on the street?
So, most of the time I don't hear it, but when I do, I can give you an example. There was such an incident in Izmir where I live. I went to the police station and learned the details of the incident. And in order to protect that woman, my family and I had taken on all the legal expenses. And at the end of the day, the harasser went to jail with a court decision. And I was perfectly relieved because that woman lived that scenario and I saw myself as a savior. I didn't give a damn about the money spent there or the time lost.
Did you share this incident with your family?
I only felt the need to share it with my father. Since he was a retired soldier as well, we had a military camaraderie in addition to our father-son relationship. When I told him about this, he told me that I should never tell his family, that if he was going to tell them, he should tell them himself. He understood me, but since I didn't go directly to the scene to intervene in such a matter, he reacted differently, more harshly. After this event, because my father was unaware of my sexual obsession, whenever I brought up scenarios like, "Dad, pay attention to mom here," or "Dad, watch out for mom doing such and such," he seemed to catch on, but his response was quite severe. He said, "Don't be ridiculous. What kind of thing is that?" His reactions were more than I could bear, and I kept telling him, "Don't say that. I've experienced this myself." Yet he never seemed to get it. After that, I stopped telling him directly. Because he didn't experience what I experienced, he didn't understand the sexual obsession or the recurring thoughts in my brain, so it was very simple for him. He initially reacted because he viewed the matter more emotionally.
What kind of person were you before this?
I was a person without any obsessions, completely dedicated to my loved ones and career, who worked hard to get into the military academy, dreamed of becoming a staff officer even though it was a far-off goal, and held great respect and affection for the school I was attending. And there was no problem. In other words, I had no problem in terms of obsessions. On the other hand, I was someone who maintained a sense of proportion in everything. I was cheerful, I was playful, I was going out, I was going to the movies. I was living the life that a normal person can live. But now the situation is the opposite. If you asked me when was the last time you went to the movies, I can't remember the date.
What do you most struggle with in your daily life?
When there is a man that catches my attention, it is very difficult for me to fight the thoughts in my brain. Sometimes I genuinely feel my head getting warm. I even verified it by checking the temperature, and when I wash my hair, steam or something unusual seems to come out. There might be a physical or biological reason behind it, but my brain feels far more fatigued than usual. For one thing, you simply can't get a proper night's sleep. You are half awake because something may happen to the woman you are fixated on. There is absolutely no such thing as a proper night's sleep. I sleep an average of 5 to 6 hours a day in a half-awake state, and my phone is definitely on 24/7. I cannot be unreachable. There is no such thing. For something like that to be possible, I'd have to cut both my girlfriend and my mother out of my life, because after my girlfriend, my mind shifts the focus to my mother, who, after all, is married to my father. I need to fully resolve this issue of safety in my mind before I can move forward. Can I live a comfortable life after that? Yes, I can live a comfortable life, but I have to deal with this. So not getting married because of this is definitely just an escape. Everyone goes through various things. I think it needs to be fought. If I've gone through this and made it this far, then I can definitely keep going from here on. But my brain gets very tired. When I'm on the ferry on my way to my home, when I'm eating my bagel or drinking my juice, thoughts are constantly spinning in my head. And I believe I have found a solution to this problem. Or rather, I am trying to solve it. I devoted myself completely to being a workaholic. In my school, they taught us to be perfectionists. In my work life, I'm fully focused on my job. Whether I'm on the ferry or going home, I manage this by constantly keeping my mind occupied. I make sure my mind is never unoccupied. I focus on my work. I focus on what I can achieve, my future goals, and improving myself professionally. If I know English, I move on to German. If I know German, then Chinese. There's no limit to learning. I have to make sure that I'm occupied. When I am unoccupied, I may have to use a psychiatric medication eventually. So I definitely don't want that either. It numbs me. And the thing is, I can't help people when I'm numb.